Good evening, this is our May EDA meeting, May 28th.
Welcome.
Here. Maybe that's for him.
Oh, we've got another one up here too.
Oh, over
You may sit wherever you would like though.
here.
I just threw them out.
Who's the head of the table? I said head of the table. I gotta turn to see what you're on.
Any changes on the agenda that anybody wants?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Well.
Do we do that?
Yes. I'll second.
Now it's time for discussion. So why is Cedar Woodlands on here? Is this a FYI information? Is that what-
It's going with the info that's in the packet.
Yeah, but I mean,
Is it for
why is it
FYI?
coming to?
We will get there as soon as we get to that portion of the agenda.
Okay.
Cause yeah, we're just gonna have a little discussion and there might be something that we'll do, so. Next, we've got minutes.
So any other questions about the agenda? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. And we have approval of our April 23rd minutes. On the back sheet of your agenda.
I have a correction. My last name is spelled Gabel. And it's no big deal, but
I will fix that.
it happens. And then like with mail and email and stuff, it gets confusing.
Sorry, you said it's GA.
Bel.
Oh, okay, so I have it correct at the top. I've just done it somewhere else.
First three letters are good, but then the last two get changed around.
Okay.
L-E.
It's it's EL.
Oh, is he? Okay, so the minutes were right then.
The top is.
Yeah.
But the new business has got, it's got a different, and the only reason I'm saying that is because you're doing some email something, and I thought in case you're using my name for the email.
Yep, no, I'll make sure I get that all fixed.
Yeah, no worries.
Good correction.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd be getting
So
frustrated with that
should we
too.
approve the April 23rd minutes
And I second that.
as amended? Any other corrections or changes? There's another one on the old business too. Last name.
Okay.
On the second page under old business.
Email addresses, yep.
Two of the three, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that's approved. Jason is our guest today.
What's up?
Got a smile on his face, that's good.
We still here.
I'm still here.
That's even better.
Sunny day. It's great.
All right, let's go to new business.
All right, first thing that we have on here is our 2025 budget request. We don't have to make a budget request to city council, but they will be getting started on the city budget soon. So if we do want to request some funds for next year, we'll need to do that now, or in the near future. What my suggestion would be is to ask for $5,000 to $10,000 just to be able to start an actual fund of a pot of money for the EDA to be able to play with, whether it's for advertising for local businesses or an event or anything like that, but just having something there. And then we can determine from there if we need to ask for an annual budget or if we are planning on any other projects that we need to ask for additional, but just having that starter fund would be really helpful for planning when we're working to find new projects.
Sheets out I gave you.
Oh, yep. Oh, is this multiple ones of the same? Beautiful.
So this is the budget through May. And I just pulled out the page in our council packet that shows the, and it's in a red box of the Economic Development Department, 46,520. So just a point of reference, the first two columns was our original budget and preliminary budget in September of 2023, and the adopted amended budget is the final budget that we adopted in December. In the middle column, year to date, We spent 16,000, and also you'll see this, the contract, the CETA contract, we paid for 2 quarters. So that's 15,303. So the current month, which is the next one, shows that 7651. That's what was paid in the month of up through May. And-
What was that paid for, Ryland?
What's that?
What did that 7651 cover?
That's the CETA contract that we pay for.
Is that an annual?
Rebecca's
Is that annual?
No, it's every month.
annual's 30,607.
No, annuals. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So it's 7,600 quarterly basis,
Quarterly, I'm sorry.
and so we pay 2 quarters, we're halfway through the contract, so we kind of pay in advance too, so.
Yeah, and I think those first two are a little bit larger, because don't those include the previous or no? Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong column, just ignore me.
So the year-to-date actual, that's the first 2 quarters of this year. That takes us through the end of June, correct?
So the only ones we were really over was our supplies. So what's not shown here is the grant money.
The 10.
I didn't bring the page, it had the revenue side on it for economic development, so it's 5,000.
Yeah, it was $5,000.
Besides what's been budgeted.
Yep, and so all of those supplies that would have come out of that money, and then the remainder goes towards my contract, so it's a little less for the city to have to pay.
The supplies were for that mailing that we did.
Yep.
So that top number, 14,250. When we set the budget up last year for 2024, when Sunny was here, we were working with that, and so we attributed 15% of her salary to economic development,
Mhm.
and that's where the 14,000 comes from. In this case, it's any work that Jason's been doing or will be doing, that would be covered there.
So that will continue to be a portion of Jason's income will come from
Economic development.
1450 is full, is all that wage?
Right, that's what was proposed for this budget. Now, we'll
I was
we'll
gonna say,
reevaluate those percents again going into the next budget, 2025 budget.
you're breaking up where his pay comes from?
Yes, they've broken it up. the
Yeah, we
last
separated
few
out.
years. A portion of it comes from the city administration, a portion of it comes from public works, a portion of it comes out of.
Oh, I've just never seen that before, ever.
Yeah.
I'm
It's a good way to win stuff. So
like, what?
there's another sheet in our budget process that showed percentages where each of the like city administrator went to planning and zoning,
Right.
water and sewer. And it was broken out in all those categories.
Because yeah, when I first looked at this, I thought salaries and wages was the Cedar contract.
No, no, you're just a contract.
Okay, I gotcha.
I don't mean to say you're just the contract, but you are the contract.
Just want to make sure I understood when I was reading it.
So that kind of gives you, so whatever the CETA contract will be for 2025, I'm assuming it goes up X percent, I'm not sure.
Yeah, usually it's at about 3%.
3%, that's okay. So when we talk about $5,000 to $10,000 for a bond or a fund loan, I guess, that would be, it could be in addition to this figure here. So instead of 47, it might be 60,000 for next year.
Right, yeah, because I'm just thinking an extra 10 on top of whatever the plan is to set aside just for us to be able to have an operating fund essentially.
And we'll reevaluate the percents, and Jason can have his input into what he wants his part of his salary to go to economic development.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and essentially all that we would be doing is just writing a request to council saying, hey, we'd like to see an increase of $10,000 next year for the purpose of, XYZ. So we should be able to just
Yeah.
make it, and then city council will have the last say on whether it happens or not.
So the budget process that we've done in the past as a whole for the whole council and the city budget is to, starting in July, August, we start having August usually we start having workshops and maybe earlier. I'm not sure what Jason has in mind, but come September 30th, we need to submit to the county our preliminary tax levy. And basically, we want that number to be a number that's submitted because between September 30th and mid-December, you can modify that preliminary, but you can't go any higher than what you submitted in September. You can go lower, but you can't go
Aim
higher.
high.
Sorry,
So aim high?
aim high, concern, aim high, but just make sure you cover everything. And then we'll have workshops continuing after the third, just to continue to refine that overall figure, so.
And I'm guessing a lot of next year is gonna be put towards project planning and those kind of things, so I don't think that we'll have a ton of overarching expenses, which is why I feel like we could get by with, the 10 and then probably be looking at specific projects where we would need to ask for more later. If that makes sense.
So between now and July meeting, August meeting, we can refine what we want to submit.
Yep. Cause yeah, it's not due yet, but wanted to make sure it was on everybody's radar.
Any questions on that? I have an opportunity to continue to talk about it in June and July too, so keep it on the agenda. Right, now, next item is, the Cedar Woodlands Development. And right now, the plan, it was, the preliminary plat was submitted last week for a public hearing on June 13th. And, I don't think there's in your packet, a letter dated the 22nd of May. That's, copies of it. So there's a 2-page.
And of that 2 pages,
Couple maps.
oh yeah, it should be 3 pages, I think. Report. But we did have a meeting on the 16th that took place with myself, Rylan was on, the city administrator was on. People from the real estate group, and then we also had someone from P and Z, Jim Phillips was the one who attended. And we also had our city finance advisor, Mike Bubani, on the call so that we could discuss what the development agreement was looking like, because they had some concerns that they wanted to run by everyone. So I think we were able to get most things ironed out through that meeting, but this was the follow-up that we asked them for, was so that we could include these in our packets for everyone with kind of what the plan for moving forward would be. But just so you guys know, we did have that meeting that we made sure we had all the different areas represented in.
So if you look at the first, and nothing's really changed from the standpoint of what they're proposing. In this sheet here, we have the quads. There's 4, 8, 12 quads, and then there's all these twin homes. If you flip it over, the twin homes continue to the south, if you will, to Cedar Point Road. And
And then you got all those big single-family homes up at the top on the first page.
Okay, Cedar Point Road. I got Cedar Drive Southeast, Cedar Point Drive, Cedar Drive Southeast.
Cedar Drive Southeast is the one that comes out from the bottom of the hill there at the.
Do you have the other map too?
Oh, Cedar Point Place Southeast. There's Cedar Point Drive South. To me, there's too many Cedar Points in the Orinoco.
A drive, a circle.
Yeah.
Street and avenue.
Yeah.
Cedar Point Road is on the south side here where you've got the.
Right, gas station.
This is going in here, the gas station.
it's a reflection of
So
the
that-
Cedar
So
Woodland.
this is the 45 acres here, this whole ABG Inc. And then they're coming in through here in between the house and the park trustee.
Okay,
Come in here and then that's where this dips down.
okay. So as this is laid on that, and this is the,
Ross Parker lives. Two Sisters Restaurant is right here.
okay, and this is the house, okay, so this is behind that house. Gotcha, okay, and then over here, okay. And so is this street in existence?
No, the street stops right here, Timberline Drive. So-
Now it stops right there.
Right, Timberline, this is all River Park subdivision,
Okay,
and then they just show the Cedar Timberline Drive.
Timberline Drive comes out that stop sign top of the
Oh,
hill.
it's a stop sign, now it goes.
On the north side.
Then it changes to it.
Up there.
Does everybody kind of know where we're talking about too, just to make sure?
Yeah.
It's a property north of Gas and going north of Two Sisters.
I guess they've taken some liberty to start, at least for now, putting some preliminary names on those streets.
Yeah, but they're confusing.
Are those the permanent names?
Cedar
already?
Drive, I think so.
Well, you got Timberline Drive,
Nothing's permanent yet because they haven't
going
actually
into Cedar Point Drive,
submitted.
and if you turn right at Cedar Drive,
Cedar Drive, if it continues on, and I don't have a, Cedar Drive continues on and then comes into Cedar Woodlands to the further end, because this continues on. Right now, there's a cul-de-sac down here. What's in the currently houses now,
okay,
and so that just comes around this continued Cedar Drive, so it just kind of makes it a loop.
couldn't we think of another tree? Just one or two more trees rather than one, just cedar, split all kinds of ways? It's really confusing to the person that's not familiar.
We'll look for some subspecies of cedar.
Yeah, something, yeah.
It's all predicated on this all being part of Cedar Woodlands subdivision. Cedar Woodlands
Oh.
2, 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
That's really common, like River Park Place, River Park Drive, River Park Road.
Neighborhood thing.
Mhm.
But you're right, I still learn.
Gotcha, okay, that's why we're doing
Maybe
everything.
if it intersected with Elm, might be a little easier, right?
Right.
Elm and Cedar.
Some things in there.
Right,
Yep, that makes sense.
and if everything's address wasn't 115.
Have cedar sawdust and cedar board, cedar plank.
That makes sense.
So what we're kind of looking at in our discussions, there was a lot of talk about tax abatement, which I know is something that council has kind of asked about as well. So Mike Bubani went through a process of kind of showing us what that could look like. Because what would end up happening is we would issue them a tax abatement, meaning they would pay their taxes and then the taxes would get returned to them each year for whatever set number of years that we make that agreement for. And that money goes towards the infrastructure improvements that they're gonna pay for. So it's basically us kind of giving them a little help with little tax help to get them started. And what our discussion during our meeting was that we had the idea of maybe doing that with a clause saying, you're our first investors into our community for residential development. And this is a one-time thing. It does not mean that any other developer coming in would get that same guarantee. Because I know that we had a big discussion on, we didn't want to set a precedent of just automatically waiving
And
taxes.
it does set a precedent
Yeah.
by doing it though.
Well, every community does it. And I will honestly say I have not seen a single residential development go in without one in a small town in probably the last 5 years.
What you technically said though isn't accurate as far as being the first residential development in Orinoco, right?
Right.
We've seen the number of,
No, we're talking since the water and sewer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just since
Gotcha.
water and sewer, because we're
Gotcha.
expecting the influx coming because of water and sewer, so it would be just that first.
I would almost, and the reason I would be, say, as Paul is that, you are gonna set a precedent. Why not set a precedent if you want the town to grow?
Well, most people do end up, I mean, and you can range them from a 5-year tax abatement up to, I think, 25 is the cap. It's 20 or 25, that's the
Probably can't
cap.
pay for that new sewer with that, doing that though, can you?
Well, the sewer will be, because we're picking up all these users, there'll be the PIF and SAC fees on each individual home. So
Okay,
that's what's going to help pay for the plant. So we're looking for density. And this is one way we're gonna get a lot of density with this, whether it's quads or the townhomes or even smaller lots for single family homes. So it will help pay the plant off sooner than what we projected.
okay.
And if they go quicker, the quicker that those lots go, the less tax abatement they're really gonna be enjoying, because it doesn't transfer to the new owner.
Okay, I was gonna say, once a lot is sold, then the homeowner.
The
picks up
homeowner picks that up,
taxes.
so then they'll be paying their residential taxes, but it won't be coming out from the developers
So you
essentially.
would abate you're asking about abating the property taxes for the entire development, like the ground that it currently sits on?
Mhm.
And what are those taxes currently?
Not very much.
So-
Because it's agricultural land.
Right,
It looks like approximately, well, because it'll be made residential for that purpose. So it looks like it would be taxable valuation is approximately 350,000. But that amount that you do each year doesn't even have to be the whole amount, so it's incredibly flexible. I think one thing that maybe city council will do is have Mike Bubani come and sit in and give a full explanation for if you do it for this number of years, it'll be this amount of dollars, these amount of years. So I don't have a full breakdown just because we don't have all of the final numbers from the engineers yet. Just because they don't know what kind of, countertops they're putting in.
That 350,000 you're talking about with the properties worth today supposedly, right? So it's taxed.
No, this would be if it was residential.
It would be taxed.
Once I think once it's chopped up into these lots,
Once it's chopped up in a lot.
then the taxes tend to go up pretty fast. I
Taxes
think.
will go up quick on.
Right, and Mike had this all set up as though it was 34 units. So we have it split up in this part. It's just not officially done, but
That's the townhomes.
Yep.
So the quads, did you look at those yet?
I don't think he's looked at anything outside of our meeting yet because he's waiting for city council to decide if they want to pursue it.
The townhouses, Ryland, the side by side bigger lots, and then the quads, are those looking at like a rental apartments or for
Looking to sell them.
townhouses?
They're looking for sale.
They didn't.
Oh,
plan on
I haven't heard of
renting,
it
my
yet.
understanding. Hamilton didn't plan on doesn't plan on running a rental agency.
Okay, so it's all planned and intended to be single use, single family. So these quad are probably the two-story townhouses that are side by side by side. And these
Yeah.
bigger ones are maybe ranch style townhouses that share one wall.
Yeah.
And probably have an association.
So you're saying the total property right now is worth they're being taxed at 350, or is that the
I
revenue?
can check that on GIS.
Tax at 350.
Yeah, but that's half of what my house is taxed at, and it's not even.
No, this was
Well,
supposed to, it just says our taxable valuation was 350 with a 42% tax rate. And then 1,470 1,470 for the annual tax abatement, but that's the city only. Da, 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 da.
Right, but right now, currently you say the property's taxed at $350,000 valuation.
This was based on the discussion that we had, which is not based on what is technically going to be there yet. It was just based on an understanding of us trying to be able to get everyone on the call to grasp what tax abatement was. So I wouldn't take any of those numbers as a verbatim or anything.
Well, you spit the number out, so. just
Oh, no, I know. I'm just trying to explain where it came
I'm
from.
trying to clarify what that number actually is.
Well, my question
I don't
is,
think we know it yet.
Well, no, but she said that.
No, I'm just going off
She threw
what,
the number 340,000 out, and I want to know what it actually represents.
it represents a stationary number that we used in our discussion for understanding purposes. So I apologize that I didn't
So-
clarify that.
So is that a arbitrary number?
Yes, it is.
So that's something somebody threw out in the middle.
It's not, I took that to be the taxable assessed value for the 45 acres.
It was so he could show us different breakdowns. So we started with one number and then we went and looked at it for different types of abatement.
So it's a total of 45 acres of development.
so my question goes, I guess I'm just asking a question. The property right now that's sitting there right now is in Orinoco, and so Orinoco is getting tax money off the land as it sits now.
Yes.
Is that?
So
city
my,
yet?
then my next question is, what is the dollar amount that Orinoco? I get it this way, so if you're receiving a dollar, I'm gonna throw a figure out. If you're receiving $20,000 in taxes for this parcel of and I might have a 20,000. If you go in there and say, okay, we're going to take that off the tax rolls and we're gonna give that to them. The Bank of Orinoco goes $20,000 down. And you gotta make the $20,000 up somewhere in your budget because you had that money coming in. Am I making sense to you? So. You're
Well-
giving, and I don't know if, I'm just throwing numbers, so that number goes out. And so now you've gotta look around somewhere and say, how am I gonna make that money up? In my budget, because that money's been taken out.
Yep.
And this person is getting, I totally understand that you want people to get started in developing. But just to give them a wash on everything. Anything that, in today's economy, things are really tight. And just to say you don't know anything on it. In my eyes, is too much of the piece of the pie. To say for the next 5 years, you don't pay any taxes on that. And, they sit there and you've got to continue every year, no?
But theoretically, in 5 years, aren't the majority that's gonna be built out and it's all gonna be turned over to property owners and they are gonna be paying taxes?
But I understand that as time goes on, but I'm not, my point is, Constable, say, or it could turn around and say, you know what, things aren't selling and things aren't going quite as quickly as what we thought. And now it sits there and I'm still going back. And I'm all for a lot of things, but that's just a question, I'm just asking the question. Yeah, I've got a deposit coming in every year on that piece of property. When that property is taken away, where do I continue to make that money up for the people? And then I would explain to the people, well, we proceed that these lots will sell. And so the money's gonna come back in, so we're gonna get it back quicker or not gonna get it back quicker. I just wanna know how to, you know what I'm saying, is to do that, to make that, because in the end, you want that money that they were paying to begin with, but you also want more money coming in
Right.
for the new property taxes to pay for, like you said, the sewer, to do
They
things.
still have to pay whack fees,
Well-
SAC fees and PIF fees.
And if you have four
Well,
homes built in there, to what Paul was saying about residential versus farmland, you build 4 homes, you've probably already got your farmland money back and then
Say, I
some.
can't imagine that
So it's-
farmland would be 20,000.
And I understand that.
300,000 evaluation, I would say maybe $4,000 a year.
And that's why the
Why
tax
is it
abatements
coming
is
up
such a
that big?
popular way of going.
Right, no, I get it. I
Right.
just, what I'm saying is, when someone was asking me the question, I said, okay, it's only this much money. We gotta make it up, and we feel that I can put it in my head and tell someone that this money's coming back in this lump sum, so we're losing some, but
Right.
not for a very long period of time. So it's a good deal, so I can agree and say, we need to do that. But
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I wanna put it in perspective.
Well, the other thing I'd like to put in perspective, because I am new to Orinoco, and how close does Orinoco run to the city budget? I mean, are we a broke city? Are we a fluent city? Are
We
we?
have the lowest, right now, we still have the lowest tax rate in the county. That's not to say it's too high or too low, but
Right,
if we compare our city to all the other cities in Olmsted County, we're about 45% now. Most of the cities are 70, 80, 110%. So we're relatively low tax rate, even though there was a nice increase in tax, well, I shouldn't say that way.
but is the
There was an
city broke?
increase in our taxes, but property values went up with it too, but everybody's taxes went up too, so.
I mean, Orinoco has seen a lot of development since I've been coming up here in 10 years.
Sure.
And the city sit on a lot of money or do
Yeah, I
do they have to account for every nickel? Is there
No.
money that can go into a tax abatement fund? So when the $20,000 gets pulled out, we say, well, we've got that already budgeted in such and such fund or
That's
whatever.
why
That's
what-
part of our economic
Right,
development.
and that's why we would have the city council would be the ones deciding if this abatement's going to happen so that they can include it in the budget planning process. But I do also want to just pitch the theory of, in this area, other towns have zero problem with this. If you are a developer and you're about to spend all this money, are you gonna go to the town who says yes or the town that says no? Because the amount of money they're bringing in is so much more, they're just going to look at us, they're going to shake their heads and they'll walk away.
They are gonna build here no matter what. We've had people scratching our eyes out, scratching each other's eyes out. to get
Until
here
they
to
see the
build in
numbers.
Orinoco For 25 years.
Because they even made that clear on our phone call.
There's usually a relationship there between the builder, developer and the landowner, right? And it's something that's gonna, I agree to a degree that's gonna be hard to. They already have the wheel in motion and they wanna develop here and I don't think we're gonna create some barriers for that. Which, you know, and I don't know, it's hard to identify the math as to how much, you know, you're kind of investing in the future income of taxes by giving them a break now and incentivizing them to develop here. But if they plan to develop anyway, then do you want to negotiate much with that? Do you want to give them much thinking, if you're thinking that they're gonna develop it kind of regardless? But then there's a lot of follow-up questions that I'd have too, like, is it
Right.
builder exclusive lat? Meaning we may be a lot slower building because like Paul Meyer, you know, would be a good example of,
Mhm.
I'm the only builder who can build here. So we can only go so fast. Or is it open to all builders? And is somebody else gonna buy the townhouse chunk? And is it gonna move kind of quickly? Or is it gonna be long and slow? And what does the overall economy hold is a whole nother question, but
In our conversations with Hamilton, they like the flexibility of the quads and the townhomes. Because once they start promoting this, and they plan to do that, they're gonna rename this development too, evidently, but. You know, if they start advertising quad homes and twin homes, if all of a sudden Twin Homes is it,
Yep.
they'll change that plan. Or they'll have the flexibility for more twin homes and less quads.
Right.
If they can sell the properties. And so there's a lot of flexibility. Mike Babani has been our financial planner for a year, quite a few years, as long as I've been in this council, but. So he will come to the meeting and he will share umpteen number of scenarios of tax abatement and things, you know, he did the cash flow for us for our wastewater treatment plant. We took a very conservative approach. We were, over a 20-year period, we were anticipating 10 homes a year. Okay, so with that, we thought we'd have to use CIP through the first 4 years or something like that to help supplement operating of the treatment plant. So here it comes 130 some homes within a 3-year period. So that's really gonna help generate revenue to help pay our plant off, but also just give us more in the future so we can take care of phase 1B.
Right.
But, and he'll share those different scenarios and he does a stellar job and he'll make it as simple as 2 + 2 for the council to make the decision.
Yeah, I feel bad that it's like, I am not a finance director. I'm an economic development director. So unfortunately, Mike's the one I rely on as well to help explain some of these numbers. So I apologize if some of it doesn't make a ton of sense. But we're also kind of getting the cart before the horse here.
It's, so there's a lot of flexibility, but at the same time, if this thing takes off, like they want to promote it, you know, maybe we could just do a 3-year tax abatement. Maybe 5, maybe 7. A lot of cities do 10, 7, 10, but if it's popular and if it sells lots and we can work with them for a 3-year tax abatement.
Right.
That's pretty short time and overall.
How long would it take us to recoup our costs on the infrastructure to supply that with?
Mike will have that.
You'll have whatever it takes. He's looking for numbers from
Yep.
Hamilton right now, so.
I think that Paul started to ask a question at the beginning of this conversation that I'm curious about too is, and maybe it kind of leads into some of what they were saying on the Facebook post about who makes what decisions, but this is before us today because it's on our meetings, but do we have any say in whether or
Yes.
not?
No,
We don't have say, but we have info. Guys, I just want to make sure I understand.
Can
You
approve.
guys all understand how the EDA works.
this goes to planning and zoning. That's why I was wondering what it was, that's why.
I
I
thought that's
wondered
what you were
what
asking, yeah.
put it on our agenda.
Go
So
ahead.
Rebecca,
What were you
please.
saying, Rebecca?
You sure we're done?
Yeah,
Okay. The EDA, unlike planning and zoning, is actually a sub of the city council. We have our own budget, whereas planning and zoning has no budget. We have all of those things. We have a higher priority on these things. What they come to us for is wanting us to do our homework, because city council isn't the one who does that. That's planning and zoning, that's us. Council isn't supposed to have all those debates. That's what we're here for.
Sure.
So we're here to have the discussions on what we think is the best thing for our economic development, and then we supply either a letter to them saying, hey, we've taken a look at this and we recommend moving forward with it. Or we've taken a look at this and we would say that there needs to be some more work put into it, or we don't want to talk about it anymore.
Sure.
So while we're not the final decision makers, we are the ones who are supposed to be doing the homework and providing the homework to city council so that they don't have to have 4-hour meetings talking about the same thing over and over. So we're the ones who
we're
supply.
consultants- Excuse me, we're consultants to city council.
Exactly.
We're not too tied to planning and zoning.
No, planning and zoning means, like, we work with them.
Yeah.
But typically with something like this, it would come to the EDA first. We do our homework because they need to be told what they have to provide to planning and zoning. And we don't want to send them to planning and zoning until they have what they need.
yeah.
So that once they get there, we can move this project forward. So it's just like a step process. We work it here, we get it up to planning and zoning, and that's why planning and zoning was in on our meeting. So we move it up there, we move it to them, and then we move it up to city council, but we make sure that our recommendations travel along with it.
Gotcha.
So is that kind of overarchingly?
Well, and also too, to say that we're kind of the front people to have the knowledge
Yep.
to know about tax abatement, know about that kind of stuff, but we aren't the decision maker.
Exactly, but we do issue recommendations and suggestions to council so that they can then make decisions based on the homework we've done.
Sure. And just to help, to better understand for me just a little bit, so then the decisions to do an abatement in for Harlong, or the decision to, looks like some of this subdivision includes modifications to what's already platted for, right? So yes, you can change the use of that land, or, are those both city council decisions and not
Yes.
planning and zoning?
Yep,
Okay.
planning and zoning has no decision-making ability without approval of council.
They're like us, they're consultants
They're-
to
right.
city council.
Yes.
we're more specific towards, yeah, it's still a little gray lines for me between what we do and what planning and zoning does, but I think
Yeah.
we're picking it up better and that was helpful.
Yeah, planning and zoning is gonna get way more into the technicalities of, setbacks and all of those kinds of things, whereas for us, it's gonna be more the overarching project.
Zoning, rezoning.
Yep, okay, thank you.
You
But
know, and
yeah.
I think that helps, because this is a newly formed
Exactly, so it's like,
committee, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a learning
right,
process.
so I don't want you guys to think that we have no power here, because we actually have quite a lot. Because the point of having this is because we're supposed to be there to help people on council with understanding these things.
Yeah.
We're not, just saying, hey, we're playing around, we're here for fun. No, we've done our homework and we're making sure that you guys have all of the information that you need.
To make
An educated decision.
educated decision.
Exactly.
Which we need.
So I got other questions for the abatement and everything else. Are these shovel ready? In other words, if Hamilton or the people coming in, do they have the contractors? Do they have the builders?
Are they to that point?
Well, I'm just saying, when it comes right, when you ask for the tax, are they shovel ready, hit the ground, we're moving the ground, and we've got X amount of lumber's on its way. We're putting in the footings and we're digging and we're doing, see, that would be my vote on abatement, so just how ready,
Mm.
if they come in and they say, well, we really wanna do it, you're the first one. Are they ready to say, you know what, we've got a street over here to see it built in this time frame, so they can sell them and do that? Or is it, well, we got a little here and a little there? I guess that to me, when I sit here is that a lot of people have ideas of grandeur, just their ideas of grandeur is just how ready are you in doing our homework and looking at these people? Show us some projects that you've done.
Done,
You
yeah.
have done, that you walked in and asked for this tax abatement and everything else, and let's see the time frame it took you from start to finish when you asked it to move along. That's who I look at, say, you know what, I'm willing to give the tax abatement up because these people, you're gonna get it back sooner. Versus you're talking 7, 8, 10 years, well, if it's 10 years to build this, they're really not ready to have at her, in my opinion, in this small of a plot of this many homes.
So we talked about the timeline, of what they plan to do, and they'd like to start the infrastructure by the end of the year, or late summer, early fall. And depending on the weather, they'll continue on with the infrastructure, but I think they would like to start building maybe in mid-2025, and for sure be fully construction in 2026. I think they're looking at independent contractors, they're just selling the property to developers and, not developers, contractors. So that's some of the timeframe, but what they need to know now is because they're talking to their bankers, they're talking to the investment people, and so that's why it's critical we're talking about it now in the summer, so we can finalize with their investors what money they need to be really looking at.
So are they gonna, so is the intention from the meeting, is the intention for them to lay all the underground? Because my understanding was when it come to starting the process of building, they were gonna start at Second Avenue and go back around because they didn't have to put in all the infrastructure right away.
That's what you see phase 1A.
And I just assume, so they're gonna, on 45 acres, you can phase it in, they're not gonna do the whole thing.
And there was talk about possibly doing a phased abatement at one point during that meeting, where it could be done in, but I don't think that's where we were
Taking
leading.
the phases by themselves, if I remember correctly.
How many phases do they plan on doing this in?
Well, it looks like 3.
3 of them,
The
yeah,
3 phases of what they plan on, yeah.
just so that we know where they're going first versus, yeah.
But that depends on what's, as you said, what's selling.
Right.
If the phase is something selling more than the other one,
And they have that flexibility though, at least, which is great because they'll have all the property.
It says that phase 1 is 109 lots, and phase 2 and 3 also fall within the 45 acres?
42 acres, yeah.
So 43 acres would be 109 lots plus
It's gonna be 109 units.
units. Yeah, well, gotcha. Yep. 109 units.
Am I right in that, Ryland?
That's all I'm asking is, so what, phase 1 is taking up how many of the 109? It doesn't really matter, I suppose. I'm just trying to figure out how many they're trying to squeeze. How many units are gonna get
That's all,
squeezed into
that's
43
all the
acres?
fourplex units.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry,
Higher concentration.
there's a total there someplace, wasn't there?
Yeah,
So phase one is 109. Is there a,
109 lots containing a mixture of commercial, single family and attached twin and quads. It's everything.
so that makes me think 109 is all of the,
no, that's not,
45 acres.
that's not phase one though.
you gotta have room for
It
streets.
says phase one of the
and
project
setbacks.
consists of 100 lots containing a mixture of commercial, single family, attached, twins and quads, and single family detached.
There's two other phases. further.
I'm looking over here. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
And it makes sense to me that they would wanna go, if the infrastructure is already there, it's faster and easier for them to hook up to. I mean, to really get a project off the ground, if you've got the stuff already there versus
They're the
building.
one that
roads.
needs to come up with the money, so.
Yeah, okay. Like I said, I totally get what you're saying.
Right.
I'm throwing some questions
Oh,
up. to
ask
see.
questions. That's
Yeah.
the best thing to do is ask questions. Absolutely. But what we're kind of, well, the reason why we had this put on our plate today was to be able to get information out on the tax abatement. I know, again, I'm not the best person in the world to be explaining it. It will be Mike in front of council, luckily. If we would like to have Mike attend our next meeting, I could certainly invite him. I know he'd be more than happy to attend either in person or over Zoom. If that's something that you guys would prefer. Because what we'd be looking at is just to be able to have the discussion and decide, do we think this is something we should seriously look at? Or do we think this is just something that's, blowing hot air, essentially?
I think it'd be nice for the education.
Because I can certainly ask him to
Whether
come.
whether it pans out or not, that we have to worry, that we.
Yeah, because it'll come up again at some point. Somebody will ask
Yeah.
for it for some other
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know where Mike is at or how much interface he's had with Hamilton to get the numbers that he's looking for yet, but I think it's really up to him and his. Sooner the better, at least give us a 15,000 foot level
Right.
idea too. And so, of course, we have the public hearing coming up June 13th too, so that'll give us some feedback too. So
Right. And actually, I was just thinking, would you all be opposed to doing maybe an online training? Because we could certainly do something like that where we just set up a Zoom call. Everybody wouldn't have to come to the office here. And it would just be Mike providing it. It could be something we invite city council to too. They wouldn't have to be anything that's specifically for the EDA, but to kind of give a brief overview on how it all works to all of our city leaders. Planning and zoning could come to. Just so you can give that basic education, because you don't have to worry about open meeting policy as long as it's an educational gathering and there's not decisions being made. So as long as we don't get into, a discussion of whether we want to do it or not, he would be able to provide that and we'd be able to invite everybody to come and partake. in
Well, it
something like
also
that.
could probably be recorded, so if you couldn't be in on the actual, you could watch it when you did have time, maybe.
We recorded if it was in person too, though.
Yeah, this probably wouldn't be something that we'd be putting out to the public because there's gonna be confidential information being discussed during the meeting, but because it's just a training versus a meeting, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But then that means that all of the meetings that are recorded, there'll be a better understanding by everybody who's attending. And it's definitely not something we have to do. It's just, if you would like, I can certainly try and put it together.
Something I would benefit from, but I don't want to speak.
I
for
would also
everybody.
benefit from that.
I would like to see it here in person. I guess I get more out of that than the Zoom. And then
Yeah.
if I'm meeting with more people, I guess I get to know who more people are versus Zoom.
Yeah, I'm not.
That we're here and then I guess that I'm old, kind of old school.
Well, maybe we can offer it both ways too, but just make sure that Mike is here. Cause I'm sure he'd have no problem with that too, as long as we just find a time that'll work for him.
I think it's really, when he's ready to give us something worth our time for training schedule.
Right.
Cause I'm just
You're like,
thinking, in
oh,
order for us to make a recommendation, we've got to kind of get everybody on the same page. Would you guys be wanting to do it before the public hearing on the 13th?
I don't think
I don't
it's,
think there's a reason to do that.
I can go either way.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm just thinking if the public hearing is happening, is there going to be decisions being made after the public hearing?
I think like Ryland said though, that the financial planner needs to probably have some good data from Hamilton before he can educate us properly or give us, ballpark figures. Is that accurate?
So they're not looking at making decisions at that one?
Well, the preliminary hearing goes, the results of that is a recommendation to council on the 18th.
Right.
18th, yeah.
Cause I'm just thinking to make sure that everybody's up to date before that
I think
happens.
it is. when, at that meeting, that's acceptance of the preliminary plat, is what that, where that's.
It really has nothing to
That
do with.
doesn't have.
No.
The finance part of it.
For the training? For the public hearing?
I think as far
Well,
as,
the
as far as
public
understanding.
hearing has to do with has to do with the presentation of the preliminary plat.
So whether or not the TIF fund is a TIF, tax, whether or not.
Are they not discussing that
Whether or
there?
not the abatement funds are,
I don't think so.
Okay,
I think it's just strictly a public hearing, yes, no, we're going forward.
okay, then we could do it during the next EDA meeting then. If that would work, because then at least we know we've all got the same time that we all can work with, and we could certainly do it like, I don't know if you guys would be interested in meeting at 6 instead of 6:30, just so that we could include the other groups, and then we could get back to our own meeting afterwards.
that's fine.
You think it'll only be a half hour?
No, but I think that our meeting starting a little late will be a little bit easier than having him come and try and guess when we're gonna end.
The only thing, I guess, from Hamilton's perspective, there would probably be, would like to have a better answer be sooner than later.
Well, and that's just it, yeah,
I mean, we could, there's not many open dates between the first of the month and the 13th.
exactly, yep.
So, because it's, Parks on Monday, our Gold Rush meeting, which is all residents now, not council. And then we have water and sewer,
Those are all evenings, right?
yeah.
Okay, because I would invite you guys to entertain other times of day. If everybody can't be there, that's understandable when you're trying to get that many people together. But we don't want to not do something because we can't do it at 6:30. If that makes sense. Like we could do it over a noon hour when people are off for their lunch, or most jobs will give you your lunch hour off to do things for public service.
I think planning and zoning has quite a few people that work during the day, so be best probably
Yeah.
keep it in the evening somehow if we can.
And that's
so.
why offering those Zoom meetings as was another option is also good. We just don't want to be tied down to a certain time and then not be able to get everybody
I
together.
understand where you're at there, but I don't know, many people are working from home or stuff like that are able to tie into a Zoom meeting and not focus on their work.
When you do talk to Mike about a training session, I think we need to be very generic as much as possible. And
Yep.
not get into the discussion about, I think it's called Cedar Crest Point. I realize it's on the title here. That may be the.
You know, I can't tell which one it is. In some things it says one and some says the
I
other.
don't know if that's the official one, but before we get into a lot of details of the specific project, I think we need to have him, if he's comfortable doing that training session without use somebody else's town or something like that.
Yeah, because he does
Because we
tons
don't want to
of
get into any
them.
type of discussion, let's do it this way now and we'll vote on it later. That's where we
Right.
could do.
Yeah, and when I'm talking about him coming in and doing a training, it won't be set on this project. It's literally going to be him being able to show maybe something that's happened in the past so that he can show how it's gone through and how it's ended.
Although
Some
I-
that go long, some that go short.
The one thing that I think is missing tonight, and maybe I'm the one that missed it, is we don't know when we do talk about this project specifically, and when people are asking us about this project specifically, what is the taxes that are currently paid? Because I don't think that question's been answered, has it?
Right, I'm looking on GIS trying to find it.
Taxes for what?
The taxes for this property that if this comes up that they want this, some kind of an abatement, how much money are we actually talking is off the table
think we
per
need to-
year?
I agree with you, Kathy. We need to know how much we're taking off the table.
You know what parcel?
I'm throwing this out here. This is fact. Northland Buildings, bought 3 acres of property. Has a lumberyard and the other place, from Pat Hall, who owned the corner, who owned the old gas station there for 50,000 an acre. So you tell me what 43 acres somewhere across the street. That was 20 years ago.
Here.
So you're looking at all this stuff.
40 acres.
This is
Bought
that
that
on that map.
43
Oh.
acres
Yeah.
across the street
$50,000.
from $50,000 an acre.
See if that'll get me anything.
Well, that's commercial property, number one.
There was one commercial, there was supposedly one commercial lot in there, is there still there?
Well, but what are we getting that for it now, though? I mean, that's, you can't charge somebody that owns that property currently is certainly not paying $50,000.
I'm not saying they are.
That's
I'm
value.
saying, Where's the,
Oh, we're going into the wrong thing.
where does the
Now.
ultimate reduced value come from that?
Is that?
Across the street.
No.
Well, being used farmland?
Yes.
I think it's got alfalfa.
Taxes, eggplant, I think is what you're asking, isn't it?
ag taxes on, which is a lot less, no doubt about it,
Absolutely.
no doubt about it.
Yeah,
The tax capacity is, it's 400, market value is $432,700 for, I think that's for 35 acres. No, it's,
It's only 10 grand an acre.
tax capacity says 43.7, but that's.
Hard to buy a 10 acre.
Any.
Oh,
yeah, but that's not what the land is valued at, that's what the city has it assessed at,
I
correct?
I understand that,
Understand that.
I understand.
It's assessed with lower than the actual value.
Parcels to that.
And when that,
Farmers have always had it.
no, okay, so I guess the
Yes and
question
no.
is you sell, okay, so they turn around, they sell the property for 3 times that amount of money.
Mhm.
Now the tax investment goes up to 3 times that amount.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
And
once
so,
they sell it, it goes on, it goes on the tax, on the.
I understand that, but when they buy it for that, they reassess and say your property
Get that off,
now,
I guess.
it's no longer that, so when Hamilton walks in, being assessed at X amount of dollars, and even if he would say, okay, we'll tax you on 432,000, see if it's invested now, but we know it's gone up 3 times that amount
Yeah, we can.
that you would have to pay to begin with.
And I guess that's where I'm going is, the begin with taxes should be a lot higher than.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that in this community, please.
No,
I'm saying on that property up there, the taxes at the beginning of their project, that property's worth a lot more to be in their project than they're given credit for. And they're gonna get a real reduced deal if that's what they're giving to the city. If we're only getting to charge taxes on that.
he's roughly,
Even went to the max of 400 and some thousand.
I would just say that 432,000, I bet you he's paying $2,000 at best.
Being ag land.
And to taxes, $2,000 for me to lose $2,000, I smile and say, ha, here's your tax payment for $2,000.
Yeah.
Have a nice day. That's nothing. For
And he's-
$2,000 to
and
get him to
you're,
being that bad.
that's right. And that's what we're getting now. And this guy's gonna come in and put his life on the line, building a project out with that stuff.
Right.
And so if he makes money off of that, I don't care.
Well, no,
But
I just like to know where we're starting with what everything is. So you all know the facts. When someone asks you those questions, you said, I made my decision, an educated decision. It was well worth doing what we did. And this is why. We've got this money, in the first year of sale, we got not only that money back, but we tripled it, and there's your answer. Thank you very much.
yeah,
It'd be a little different coming in and saying that the property's worth, you're getting, $500,000 in tax on a property that something's worth, and you say, now I'm gonna cut that loose. And it's gonna take a while to get that money back, so, you know,
yeah.
4,100,
How much?
$4,180, I think.
That's currently,
well, that's what I'm saying, is it's nothing.
land. It's not.
Take $1,000 and you abate it, say
Yeah.
5,000, first time you sell
Or-
something, you're
Yeah,
done.
if Orinoco can't survive with $4,000 less.
But you see, those are the
they're in
answers.
trouble.
Those are the answers that you get here that we can talk about and say, we didn't give up a lot, we're gaining a lot.
Right.
We're going for something, we're gaining, but yet you know the facts and the figures. But then the next developer comes along and this property is worth a lot more in the tax base. And they jump in and say, well, you did it for them over there.
Their property was only, they were only paying 4,100. Now, it's not my problem that you gotta pay 2,500 for, or $25,000 for taxes.
And the taxes a year on your property, what it's worth, and,
Yeah.
that's a different story. So I guess I'm learning.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm glad
Yeah.
we
So why don't we,
move on, so.
see how soon Mike can get back to us?
Do you guys have any certain days of the week that are an absolute no-go for any of you?
Oh, you mentioned our next
Want
meeting.
to check the community calendar?
Well, if are we trying to do it before the next meeting, or do you want to do it at the next meeting?
Well, we need to see,
His availability.
there's
maybe.
availability on the P and Z and council and everybody,
Okay.
everybody, all 3 groups to be
Exactly.
together.
There's an app out there that I can send out that everybody can go into and mark what days they're available, and then it'll give us our best options. So that's something I can send out.
Yeah, the 25th, I guess the week of whatever, I got nothing. I've got Tuesday nights or.
Yeah, but his availability is and go from there and serve ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Perfect. All right, so then once we get a chance to get a good look at that, we'll be able to make a proper recommendation off of what Mike's able to help us
Yeah.
with. So
Yeah.
that gets us in the right direction.
Correct.
Perfect.
So the one thing we'll have to be mindful of is time. And
Oh, yeah.
his fees.
And he is used to doing these kind of things pretty regularly, so as long as we're able to keep. And this is my concern, is if we're able to keep redundant questions out of it. Which is also why I think sometimes online's better, because then if people type them up and there's 8 people asking the same question in different verbiage, Mike's able to catch that and just answer it once. But I think just respecting each other's time is gonna be really important.
Not so much the rezoning, it's just all the different variables of tax
Mhm.
abatement.
Yeah, and he's, like I said, he's probably gonna put together a full presentation that everybody be able to listen to and then just ask some things at the end.
Now, speaking of zoning and stuff, in this project, there is gonna be some commercial zoning that they're gonna be looking for, is that correct?
Is that still on there, Ryland? Road's supposed to be
That's-
right next to
that is a-
Second Avenue there. Originally on the.
I feel like when you read something out earlier, it said commercial too, didn't it?
That's the second
Something.
building,
Right
right?
right there next to Second Avenue. It originally was, I don't know if it's still.
Yeah, it says phase 109, mixture of commercial, single family attached, units and quads and single family. So it must have some commercial plan in there.
What's the roll stuff with it off of Minnesota, and then as it works its way east, you're looking commercial, the quads, the twin, the single,
So just really basically the corner,
more or less.
but that's not even in phase 1. Developing the commercial.
I don't see it anywhere in this letter,
Mm-mm.
just R1, R2. The variance is for the square footage of the lot sizes from 20,000 feet to be reduced.
Right, you kept that one lot up on the very, right up against
This-
Second
this
Avenue.
Block 1 and 3 here.
Yeah, those are the two commercial.
For commercial
Yeah.
purposes. in the
Oh,
future.
gotcha.
So this is Minnesota Avenue here.
Yeah.
Cedar Drive.
You see those two lots right there,
Isn't
Ryan?
that-
You talk about B2.
These
Two
two lots right
sisters?
here. Those were
Or am I too
originally.
far? I'm too far.
Commercial.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. This is at Second Avenue, goes up
That's
that
what
backside.
it doesn't take much.
This Timberline Drive is the one that comes out of that stop sign, top of the hill.
Yep,
Yeah,
gotcha.
you're the one with all the kids.
Well, this app is a hunting, designed for hunters, but it's actually quite handy for farmers. So it looks like, yeah, that's not Two Sisters, that's Parker Ross's house. That's-
Well, I totally believe that if you get something like this going, the commercial, some different things are gonna step up too.
It's Cedar Drive.
Some more land up there, some commercial,
Okay.
Two Sisters is going and some more things, people start seeing some different
Three is
things.
gonna be.
Yeah, and Two Sisters is also looking at doing a little strip mall.
Right.
Okay.
Right, so if we can hopefully fill that up too real quick.
Right.
No. It's wider.
And at least, and actually it'd be kind of great if they could get like a little restaurant into that, just for people that live on this side.
Exactly,
have.
you know, plenty of room for a road. and-
Yeah,
and-
probably.
Well, that's what Two Sisters is.
Well, that's true, darn it.
They might not want that.
It's like, I just didn't even think of that.
Sandy shop might be some good
Right?
contract.
How about cheese curds? All right. So if you guys do have any specific questions, other than, I've been taking them down now, to make sure that I get them sent on to Mike, but if you do think of any between now and when we do this, please let me know and I'll get it all forwarded on to Mike so that he'll be prepared to answer those. Oh, good.
Can I bring up something else under new business, just because?
Do we want to get through you want to add it to new business? Can we do it at the walk-on items? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Beautiful. Okay, so this is the last of our new business. If there's any other questions right now, or talking points or? Seems like we're kind of at a good stopping point. Beautiful. All right, under old business, community engagement, at our last meeting, we suggested to look into community branding. So that's something that we are looking at and including in our report. And then Kathy, for email addresses, is yours set up now?
No,
Oh, okay, because
I just want to make sure you had the right spelling in case you used my name in the email.
Okay, because I think Renee had said she thought she had sent it out, so I will check with her again.
Oh. Well, if she did, I missed it.
Yeah, I'll just have her resend.
Okay.
Okay, and then for anyone else who's having difficulties logging in, and on your piles today, there's a nice little small card thing. That is the phone number for the company that the city has hired to kind of oversee our email addresses. Because unfortunately Renee and I both are completely clueless. She's able to set them up, but when it comes to the back end, we have to go through that group. So just give that phone number a call if you've forgotten your password or if you need something reset, anything like that, they'll be able to get you through it really quick.
Well,
And Renee did also send out an email to them that they should be expecting some phone calls.
what'll happen, if you call them, they'll take your information and then they have to create a ticket and a customer service person will then call you back. So it's usually pretty quick, within an hour, they'll have somebody reach back out to you, but they have to, that's their process. They create a ticket and then they have someone call back.
Yeah, he walked me right through it. I mean, I was on the phone with him and it's done.
Perfect.
Show me, he walked in, my computer, done. I said, this is great. All I gotta do is put a button now. There it is.
Wow.
And once you guys confirm with me that you've got you're into your email, you've got it set up, then I'll get things changed over. But until then, I'll make sure you guys are still getting what you need to get for your meetings. So just kind of keep me posted as you get those filled in. Because I know, Adam, you've been trying desperately. Yep. And then Compere Financial, we don't really have anything new because that is just reporting on our grant dollars. So we'll be reporting that once our full report's over and we'll submit that. And the coordinators report, we've kind of gone over, I would say 99% of what is in it. Yeah, it's mostly been writing, but there's been the one-on-one, I've had a one-on-one meeting with Mr. Jason over here. But otherwise, it's mostly just EDA prep items and then the meeting that we had with Hamilton Real Estate. All right, and any other comments or questions on old business? I know there's not really much for updates there.
No, it's easy update.
Yep, yeah, that's basically what I've been working on since the last meeting.
Can I have a target date for that community engagement completion? Or did you say that?
I am still hoping to have the first draft ready at the end of next month.
Oh.
For at our meeting, but I might not have all of the sections ready. Just, we've been doing a lot of other projects that's kind of taken my attention away from that a little bit. So I might not be 100% done, but I will certainly have a majority of the sections ready with their first draft. There just won't be any recommendations in it yet.
The July meeting for sure.
Yes, yep. But I'll be bringing in whatever I've got done for a first draft next month, just so that we can review that and.
The July 23rd.
And then Kathy, what was your item?
I wanted to just bring up the Dollar General. Now, I had no idea Dollar General market was coming to Orinoco until a gal came to my house the other day and she said, did you know they're building it? Not, it doesn't matter to me that they built it, where they built it. But I am on a couple of the Orinoco Facebook pages and there was some disgruntledness, people asking the question, how does this happen? And not everybody knows about it. Is there a way we can, the city can communicate with whoever's making those decisions that they can communicate it with the general public, or do you? Am I just missing something, or? Because,
No, you're not missing anything. The simple answer is, but you're right about awareness. There's no question about that because there's a lot of anxiety right now. So, but the reason it happened is because Dollar General, the property owner, They submitted a building permit for a B2. And the grocery store meets our user permit. So there's no rezoning, there's no variance. There's nothing
Gotcha.
called that would send it, for them to want to fill out an application and send it to P and Z, and it goes through the process of public hearing and all that stuff, you know, so
Did they do all that?
they had no reason.
They didn't need to,
They
okay.
didn't need to, so it's just strictly, you know,
A
you
business.
build a
permit.
house over in residential, you get a building permit and you just do your thing, you don't need to tell your neighbors. Same type of thing here with your building permit in the commercial side. So that's the very 20,000 foot level
Yeah.
of
gotcha.
why that didn't come about. Yes, it was it was kind of new information for a lot of people. It was very briefly in the March 19th. We had a report of building permits through January and February. And the Dollar General was in a sheet that was in our consent agenda. That's all kind of approved by a motion, everything under the consent agenda goes forward, but if somebody wanted to pull out that building report and bring it back to discuss it, we could have done that, but that didn't happen. It just got included with everything, so.
So why did that have a Byron address on that in the consent agenda?
That was, probably the owner that submitted the building permit
The owner of,
for the contractor,
okay,
yeah.
Why did that throw you off base? Is
well,
that-
it made you kind of wonder why we were doing a building permit in Byron.
Or somebody based out of.
Byron address, yeah.
The Byron address that
Oh.
is in the thing, it wasn't confirming what it was actually for.
Usually when you have, in the city of Rochester, when they're gonna build or do anything, usually you don't get to know the owner or the owner, who it is, whatever. They always have their developer, their builder come and he speaks before the council and he's got his address. You wonder why he's out of the cities or he's wherever.
Right,
And he is because he's the one
the expert.
putting everything forward and they gotta have his, and he speaks. I guess my answer to some of that stuff is that, you do Zoom meetings, you do a lot of things in Roanoke and everything else, and people gotta be engaged a little bit to understand kind of what's going on. I mean, it's no dark secret kind of what's gonna go on, but they did put a sign up, says Dollar General.
Mhm.
Some people start building and you have no idea. Same as, I would tend to say that the gentleman's added on to storage units up there. I don't know how many units, I bet you he's put another 150 units on there.
With no building permit.
Well, no, he has that because
Oh.
it's a phase, but my point being is you drive by and you go, there the crew is, it's half built, in a week and a half, 2 weeks, it's half built. You notice things like that, but he doesn't have to come to tell people
Yeah.
as he said, because he's been approved for it, he just adding on, but
Just
Um,
making his next phase.
he's bringing, but it's nice to be able to tell people at council, oh, by the way, and you could probably do that very well, and some people say, well, I still didn't know.
Yeah,
So,
There's a lot of anxiety about development and going forward, and a lot of people think they should be involved with the decision making, and there was no decision making.
Right.
gotcha.
I think some folks might be under the impression that the city gets to decide who can put what where, and that's not the case, right? The city decides what kinds of buildings can be built here, and then
Right.
the owner decides what to build there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
and if I remember what,
Well, that
Look at
makes
zoning
perfect
map.
sense, yeah.
is what you said, I believe that you said that some of the property across the highway and here, the owners pick and choose what they wanna go on that property. It's for sale or whatever, but I'm sure when REA come in, they sold that parcel and this and that, and they kind of picked and choose. If I remember one of our meetings, you said that the owners of some of the property on both sides, kind of, the property's for sale, but yeah, you know, we're kind of picking and choosing what we want to go in there, but all in all, if you're zoned for a certain thing and someone walks in and says, I wanna put it in there, and you say,
Right.
yeah, I'm not gonna do it. You can end up
That's
with
happened.
one huge lawsuit to say, you know what, the property's zoned that way, I don't care whether you like a laundromat or whatever, I can put it in there.
Yeah, I think my point is maybe, the positive things I've heard about it, if we as people in the economic development or the planning and zoning or the city council, or people knew about it, it could be maybe more of a, looked upon as I mean, it's a big deal for Orinoco.
Unfortunately, companies like Dollar General, until they know 100% that they're about to break ground, they typically will not allow us to tell the public.
Gotcha.
Confidential.
There's usually a lot of that with those bigger companies. So that unfortunately ties some hands with it. I mean, obviously, some of it always sneaks out, but
Rent the not in my backyard, neighbors and.
So,
Yeah.
other question is you got a sign out here that says welcome to Orinoco. I know that sign can say more than that.
You're right, it can.
My point is,
A lot of comments
to
about
answer
that.
your question is welcome Dollar General.
Yeah,
Orinoco, a sign on both sides of the highway.
yeah,
Welcome to the E-Day meeting tonight,
yep.
city council meeting tonight, all welcome. Gold Rush meeting, gonna meet, all welcome on your
who
sign.
operates that sign?
And
I
then-
think that's something we're looking to be able to do. It's just, we've got a lot of training going on with City Hall right now, and I think they're just trying to get everybody caught up on which jobs everyone's gonna be
No,
doing.
But it can be managed out of the city.
Yeah.
But that is I'm saying that's a very positive
Mhm.
note, to put forward that,
Yeah.
very easy that people drive through and say, oh,
Oh, they're
That'd
getting
be a
another
good practice
driver's license.
project.
there's a meeting
For the
tonight,
signs.
maybe I should attend.
Right,
It'd Be a what, good
A
what
good practice project for the signs, just for whoever is going to be looking into it to be able to practice.
Question,
So city staff is having difficulty in getting some of the software downloaded, and that takes time.
Oh,
And it's pretty low on the list unfortunately, but sometime it will change, because we are getting more staff. Here in the near future, so I think you'll see.
But I mean, that's a good advertising tool.
Oh, sure, there's-
Simple.
Those
Yeah.
signs,
We could have used it for,
two signs be operated independently,
yes, there's two different packages, yeah,
so they're independent signs.
that you can, why they gave us two software packages, but that's what how the signs are set up.
That's why I was curious, just because.
It's more money. Because one sign could run on, if you got the message here, the same message to be.
Well,
Cause that'll be the next
That's what-
question,
that's what-
how come the messages?
Are different. Got right over there to find out that when the city council meeting meets.
I'm,
Bikes are gonna T-ball over there, not.
I'll bet you that I'll get my sign, I got my new 8x12
Exactly.
LED sign on the trailer. I'm working on it in my shop right now.
I saw something in the back there.
Yeah, 8x12. You wanna see a sign,
Don't put it beside my house.
huh?
Don't put it beside, I didn't even.
No, what I'm just saying
The
is
night light.
that, well, you dim it down, but I'm just saying is to be able to put up there. I helped you guys with Gold Rush, welcome to Gold Rush, I put up there Thompson's and whatever. My point being is, you can never advertise enough.
Yeah.
So it will happen, it's a
Good.
Yeah.
situation. that
I
has-
didn't mean to get off the subject. I'm sorry.
Your
good question though.
Your sign's gonna look like Owatonna growing tomatoes over there.
Don't be a,
Do it.
it even has audio.
All right. So that covers Dollar General, I believe. Anybody else have any other?
Just for
Questions?
reference, with this Dollar General market, Renee looked it up, we was doing it one day. There's no other markets like this, Dollar General market within 200 miles. They're looking for other Dollar General markets, and they're popular down in Tennessee and Kentucky.
They've got one in Fort Madison, Iowa, and I saw it last week, and that's more than 200 miles.
Yeah.
They're more of a grocery store than.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of, it's like a grocery store.
And it's not gonna be your typical Dollar General front. It's gonna be nice, it's a really attractive picture, what I've seen, a lot of landscaping around it. So
Nice.
I think it's gonna be,
What went in some Brota then, that used to be $1.
That's a storage unit in there.
It's a storage unit, but that wasn't like a
Tobacco
Dollar
store.
General.
That was
I'm
Family
saying
Dollar.
Yeah,
That was Family.
Family Dollar, yeah, I see so many different ones, Family
And
Dollar.
the other one, I think there's a Dollar Tree beside it or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and this Dollar General Market, what, I'm sorry.
What do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be the only one so
What
far
do
in
they
Minnesota.
have? I guess, what is their forte? As you said, it's gonna be a little different. You said it's a grocery store then?
Mhm.
all coolers. Oh, it's not a
Fresh
mercantile store, it's gonna be all
produce.
coolers.
Well, that's quite a,
it's like a grocery store coming to Orinoco.
yes, that's quite a achievement and very good for Orinoco to be able to have that.
Yeah,
So, we did our survey, first part of the year. We had the fire hall meeting. So out of 107,
122.
122, the number one thing what type of business you want to see in
Grocery store.
Orinoco? Grocery store.
So we'll be able to publish
Second was,
and do it.
restaurants, and third was housing.
Wow.
And you'll see those results when the report comes out, so.
Mhm.
If you really want to see
Affordable
the
housing.
business, you gotta see the traffic pick up. When that opens up, just pay attention. how many folks pull in
Affordable
there.
or just housing?
All around.
Okay.
When Dollar General does.
I'll go to Ponderosa, I'll Lake Zumbro.
Well, like,
Come by here, I'll go.
uh, I think affordable housing came up because when you guys were interviewing people for city manager,
Mhm.
the salary you paid is hard to find that kind of housing in Orinoco.
And just
That kind of-
the 80% medium income is gonna be, that makes it difficult too.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, because this is definitely a high earning location,
yeah,
Mhm.
it's,
highly educated and high learning, high.
that's, all that information is in the report too, so.
Mhm.
I wonder what the.
I just got done writing
What
that
the median age, do you know what the median age is?
I'll find out.
36.
Younger than anticipated, I think.
Yeah, it looks younger on the regular census than it did on the surveys, but I kind of expected that. It seems like people are at home a little more, have more time to dedicate, but.
Interesting.
All right.
Does that take care of that whole lot then that was there? At the Dollar General, does that take care of that whole?
Did they buy that whole
lot?
lot?
That
Takes
whole,
everything up to the driveway going to the storage.
sorry, so that whole lot
They
is.
got a wetland, in fact, they moved the wetland, or in the process of moving the wetland.
I saw, see the pumps there, when they did that, built there, I said they're gonna have some water to move.
There's an underground river in
Cause yeah, they're still having a retention pond / wetland
Well, you say
there.
it's a grocery, if it's a grocery
Yeah.
store, it will be busy, and that's why the traffic in and out of there. I believe they will be a busy place.
It's the same underground river that runs underneath that
Puts more
three-story.
traffic on
apartment house.
Minnesota Avenue.
Oh, down on the other end here.
Yeah, it's just, you ever see that sump pump running out there? It runs all the way down that field, that thing's wet
Okay.
all the time.
I'll
There's
keep
an
an eye on
underground
that.
river runs under that house.
Oh, that little White House down
No,
there?
The white three-story house down there, that's an apartment house.
Further down, further
Oh.
south.
Pump pumps right out of that northwest corner of the basement. and run
They're continually pumping water out of that basement
They've
apartment.
been pumping water out of there 24/7.
Well, it definitely will be this week.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second,
I made a motion.
Okay.
Kathy seconded.
No,
Yeah,
Dan
discussion.
seconded.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Second says aye.
I,
No, there's no discussion on it.
Jason, did you get my email?
When,
We gotta change, you gotta change that meeting for the planning and zoning meeting. Cause we're not gonna have a public hearing in Rochester.
I did not get an email from you.
You do have your.
And Paul,
City council's
Well,
tomorrow
it's
night.
talking about talking about a public hearing.
public hearings.
For planning and zoning on the 13th,
Power outage last Tuesday night.
and let me
6:30.
get back here to it if I can find it here. I'm sure.
And the packet's on the community calendar too.
Okay,
Start publishing council packets on the community calendar so everybody can see the packets.
nice.
You sent me a thing about public hearing number 3. And when I open it up, it says, City of Orinoco, notice of public hearing, June 13th, 2024, at 1509 Highway 14, East Rochester. Oh, you read it for me.
oh, I can see Rochester right there, yes.
So we better get that at the right, we better get the right location.
For your guys' planning and zoning meeting, I'm guessing Jim will bring up.
See, I'm not on planning and zoning.
I keep forgetting that you're not on there anymore.
I'm not
Dang
on
it.
that, so, but
That's what I was gonna say. Whatever Jim needs from Mike, I can have it.
What's on the hearing then?
Yeah, I'd like to have more.
We'll get that fixed now. I didn't.
I figured that you had to get 10 days.
Well, I like that.
I don't, that's what I said last week.